I don't think people understand that it's a real disease. Like it doesn't, it's not like you're saying, not just that it's not a stomach ache, but it's something that affects your whole body.
She still has a butt.
I still have a butt.
Not just in a hole.
People with IBD have to have their butts removed.
Right now, I don't really use butt-related products besides...
You don't use toilet paper?
No.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. Like, that's the only thing that matters at that moment.
People don't understand that our disease is not caused by food, by something that we ate.
Like, you bleed all the time. So when you bleed all the time, you become anemic. Then you get tired. Then everything else in your body's like it's a trickle. It's a trickle effect where, like, you know, IBD is this umbrella.
People hear the words lupus, or you hear cancer, or you hear MS, or you hear any other disease, and people are like, oh gosh, that's so serious. But when you hear somebody say they have Crohn's or colitis, people either have no idea what that is, or they are like, oh, so yeah, I had food poisoning once, I totally understand how you feel.
Tell it to the judge, man. Tell it to your motherless reflection in a sock and one shoe. After the great defection, he said, tell lies sometimes.
My piece of advice would be to not be ashamed of your disease and to not be afraid to talk about it with people. And even though it's involving your bowel movements, it doesn't mean that it's gross or that you're dirty or disgusting or anything like that.
I wear this shirt a lot and people don't ask me, but then they're like, oh, I saw you wearing that shirt. And I was like, oh yeah, it's because I had colitis and now I don't have a colon. And so now I have a J-pouch. Want to know what that is? This is how I poop.
Tell your story walking.
I had IBD for 15 years before I ever spoke about it to anybody. I lived for a very long time ashamed of my disease. It was just a period of like isolation and sadness and being afraid, and I did that all alone. And then after going through my surgeries and experiencing like so much stuff, and then wanting to get out there and meet other people like me, from then on I've just been like so motivated to give people a voice because I could finally talk.
When you're talking with people about it, I think it's really important to come across like you're confident and positive and overall happy.
Tell your story to anyone who listens. Tell your story. Don't stop.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2001. I had my first resection in 2008. Been symptom-free since.
Megan, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2002, and I co-founded the Great Bowel Movement with Andrea. We run a Facebook page and we distribute t-shirts that help people start conversations about IBD just out in the world. But one day she emailed me and she said, hey, I have a design challenge for you. And she said, I want you to design me a t-shirt that will help spark conversations about Crohn's disease. And through these discussions, we realized we were both really, really open about our diseases. And when you go out in the world and you see somebody like in a wheelchair, like what do? Your parents tell you don't stare, don't ask questions, like, but we want to share our stories. Like that's why we're here, and everything we just talked about. I mean, we all kind of feel like this is our purpose in life, is to put here to make a difference for other people, to inspire other people, and like we do that through being open.
My favorite moment was when we were in the elevator at the Sears Tower. We were wearing our shirts and that woman looked over at us and she told us that she had a J-pouch for 26 years. How cool is that? Like, what a small world. And you wouldn't know that, like, unless we were out there wearing our shirts and spreading awareness. And when we were walking away, we caught conversation of her talking to her family about her disease. So it sparked conversation from then on for her.
Well, the first time I met my coworker's wife, she came up to me and said, I hear I'm supposed to ask you about your colitis. And I was like, what? She's like, I saw your picture on Facebook.
Tell your story. tell your story to anyone who'll listen. Tell your story. Don't stop talking, just tell your story walking. And it's a sorry, frightful thing when you wanna cry, but you can't keep from laughing. Outside the church that's so quiet, it dares you to shout. You put a hand to your mouth to stop the rain. You do a Saint Vitus dance to the sky. You raise your voice. This is your chance. You have